All right, jumping into my screen here, we're going to look at some math calculations. There we go, some math calculations. And trust me, it's not that hard. You can do it on a calculator and it's very quick. But there are several different rules that I've learned wholesalers will use in order to calculate good offer prices. And when we're looking at our screen here, we're looking at 9005 La Prada Drive, Dallas, Texas, and there are four rules that I see a lot of people commonly use to establish what is called an MAO, or a maximum allowable offer. Now, sometimes these calculations, they are not foolproof, and it is market dependent on ultimately what your offer price should be, which is when you go back into the early part of this video and reuse Propelio, X Leads, or PropWire to look at recently sold homes similar in square footage and bed and bath count and location as yours to know if your offer price is making sense. Now, the 70% rule, the 75% rule, the 1% rule, and the 90% rule. So let's jump into the 70% rule, which is probably the most common rule for getting a maximum allowable offer price that you would make on a home. It's very common for house flippers to use this rule. It's very common for wholesalers to use this rule. It was made very popular by Jerry Norton of Flipping Mastery TV on YouTube and all of his internet pages on finding out a good offer price. So ARV times 0.70 minus the rehab equals the maximum allowable offer, MAO. Now, our ARV of La Prada is somewhere in the $330,000 range. So we would take our ARV price of $330,000 times 0.70 minus a $45,000 rehab gives you an offer price of $186,000. Now, wait, Zach, how did you establish rehab costs? I'm not a house flipper. I don't know what things cost. Well, I'm not this 45,000 is probably not every penny on the dot, but it's very much in the ballpark. What do I use to establish that? Well, we go over here back to my website, and I've joined a free Discord by a man named Maximilian Deer, who has a Discord group called the Wholesalers. You can join it for free, and he has a tab called Repair Estimator. On your screen here, you can see the Repair Estimator calculator. Under certain types of square footage, with certain levels of condition, there are certain expectations as to rehab costs. Our subject property is right under 1,500 square foot, so I'm going to look at the 1,500 square foot to the kind of like on this line right here, because it's a 1,300 square foot, almost 14 property. So I'm looking at it's a probably $40,000 rehab. It's right here on the Shiver Me Timbers. So like smooth sailing is carpet and paint. Bam, that's it. Shiver Me Timbers is tile, flooring, carpet, paint, finish work. That's that number. Abandoned ship, which is this calculator thing here, that's a total gut rehab for that type of square footage, and that's what the cost would be right there. Just make them converge together, you see that calculator. So this is probably a middle-of-the-road Shiver Me Timbers kind of flip property. So I'm going to put it at $40,000 rehab and every time you add one major item of repair, you're going to add $10,000, like electric repair, plumbing repair, roof. And then we go into our Zillow listing on 9005 La Prada Drive and go down to the description here. We in fact see that it says a new roof and foundation work were complete in 2024. Foundation issues are common in Texas, but it looks like the roof has been recently repaired, and the foundation repairs in Texas can run you as much as $20,000, sometimes $30,000. And the roof is a $10,000 to $15,000 job. We don't have to worry about either of those things because that's already been done. So we're going to be looking at Shiver Me Timbers, and I'm going to account that either electric, plumbing, or some other $10,000 major issue. So I'm going to put our rehab at $45,000. Very quick numbers. We're looking at quick math here. The accurate flipping numbers, leave that to the flipper on the back end or the end buyer, but we're talking about a wholesaler's mindset here today. So we go back to my mathematics and we look at that and see that our $330,000 ARV times 0.70 minus 45,000 rehab equals a maximum allowable offer of $186,000. Now, I would encourage you to probably offer $10,000 under your maximum allowable offer as a wholesaler, because we're trying to get the biggest fee possible for finding this property and assigning it to an end buyer. But this property, based off the market research I'm seeing, remember the square footage and the similar bed and bath counts that had sold in similar shape sold in the 200 to 220,000 range. So if your maximum allowable offer is 186 to 195 on this property, I think you're golden at assigning it for a $200 to $210,000 price and make it somewhere around a $5,000 to $10,000 profit as a wholesaler on this property. Next, we're looking at the 75% rule. The 75% rule just squeezes out margin for you as the wholesaler, or profit for the end flipper. Somebody's got to give it up because we're offering 5% more towards our purchase price. We take 330,000 times 0.75 minus the $45,000 rehab gives you a maximum allowable offer of $202,500. Now again, it's on the market for $199,000, so we don't even have to worry about the 75% rule as much. But now we've got to sell ourselves a range, $186,000 to $202,000, somewhere in that range, and you are golden as a wholesaler or as a house flipper on this property if you purchase it at that number. How do we know if this house would make a good rental for us? Well, we look at something called the 1% rule. The 1% rule is you take the monthly rent you would likely be paid for this property in a finished condition, times it by 100, minus the rehab, minus your wholesale assignment fee, gives you your offer price. So the rent on a home like this is probably going to be $2,300. And the reason I know that is I use our handy dandy X leads and I scroll down here to where it says rental. And the range for rental income in this market is somewhere around $2,000 to $2,400 a month for a house in this location with similar bed, bath count, square footage factors. So I'm going to run our numbers in a conservative way right at a number of $2,300 a month in rent times 100 minus a $45,000 rehab minus a $10,000 assignment fee gives me a range offer of $175,000 to $185,000 on this property. So I would want to purchase this property in the 175 to 202 range right now that I'm seeing in order to make a profit either as a wholesaler or as a flipper. Finally, something that has been made popular by DJ Bates of Titanium University, who's a very highly successful closer as a wholesaler in getting sellers to sell their properties, does something called the 90% rule, which keeps the end wholesale, not the wholesale, but the flipper's mind in check. Flippers don't flip for flea. Flippers don't flip for free. Put that on a t-shirt. Flippers don't flip for free. And the 90% rule gives us a margin of profit for our end flipper. As a wholesaler, which is what I've been doing, I want to keep the end buyer's mindset in perspective. That is what I'm going to show you here. So the 90% rule, you take ARV times 0.90 minus rehab times 2 minus your assignment fee gives you your maximum allowable offer. Look on your screen there. ARV times 0.90 minus the rehab times 2, minus your assignment fee as the wholesaler, gives you your maximum allowable offer. Now, this is very interesting because this house, 9005 La Prada Drive, passes every single rule, which is not common. 330,000 times 0.90 minus the rehab times 2, that's 45,000 times 2, minus your 10,000 wholesale fee gives you an offer price of $197,000 cash money. So we know that this house, you could maximum offer up to $197,000 and still probably make a $10,000 profit as a wholesaler. Now question, what's different in this calculation and the ones we just did above it? What's the difference? If you guessed rehab times 2, you would be accurate. Why am I doubling my rehab costs? Are we flipping this house twice? No. But flippers, a common rule for real estate flippers, they would love to make a profit equal to the amount they're putting in the house. So if they're doing a $45,000 rehab, it would be like heaven on earth to make a $45,000 profit. That's not always common in every single real estate market, but it can happen in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. With great ARVs and a purchase price on a house like this at this number, fantastic. So 330,000 times 0.90 minus our rehab times 2, that's 45,000 to rehab and 45,000 to your flipper, baking that into your calculation, minus your profit as wholesaler, a 10,000 wholesale assignment fee, gives you a maximum allowable offer on 9005 La Prada Drive of $197,000. So what do we see here after running at least these 4 calculations? There is a range offer price of $175,000 on the low end to a maximum offer of $202,000. Now, I think that's a little bit high on that. I would say that your range is $175,000 to $195,000 and still make a $10,000 fee assignment as a wholesaler and bake into that about a $45,000 profit to your end cash buyer, who is probably going to be a flipper that is going to keep this as a long-term rental if they're smart. Because a house renting $2,300 a month with an initial purchase price of $199K and a $45,000 rehab with an end ARV of $330,000, dude, that's amazing. He could cash refinance that and throw that right back into his next flip. So what am I doing here? I am conditioning my leads to see if they're good for my end cash buyer. I keep the cash buyer in mind first, not myself. And when I find a deal that's good for my end cash buyer, then I know it will be a good deal for me as a wholesaler, or even how I wanted to flip this property, because the profit is in it for the end flipper. If the profit's in it for him, it's in it for me. If it's in it for him, if it's in the deal for him, then it's in there for me to make a wholesale fee probably, or even as a flipper. Now, I could probably run this up on something and sell it to an end buyer at 205, 210. This could be a wholesale profit of probably $10,000 to $15,000 on 9005 La Prada Drive. And again, we're talking about ranges here. Don't freak out when you're first starting in wholesaling and when you're first starting in this flipping. You need to be in ranges. We establish definites once we do our due diligence period, but we are getting ranges offers here because you're competing with many other investors in this market and you need ranges quick. That's what I'm using Maximilian Deer's offer calculation that he has here, his repair estimator calculator right here. Jerry Norton has a free repair estimator calculator, and I found these to be very accurate. As a side note here, I love using Maximilian Deer's Discord group because he has MLS filters. You can copy these and plug these into Zillow to find on-market leads that need repairs that you can make cash offers on and dispo to end buyers. He's got his repair estimator, cheat sheets, offer price things, calculators, contracts for free, scripts, all of these things. So this is a very fantastic Discord. Maximilian Deer's Wholesalers. And when you want to find him on YouTube, you just type in Maximilian, Maximilian Deer, D-I-E-R, and you'll find his channel, which I highly encourage you to go check out. I've learned a lot from him, and it's been very helpful to me. So let me know what you think about this video. Comping software I use PropWire, which is free, XLeads, which is paid, and Propelio, which is paid to comp my real estate. I showed you how I think about comping real estate. And then I provide you 4 mathematical calculations to establish your offer prices, whether you're a wholesaler, a house flipper, or an end investor, using the 70% rule, the 75% rule, the 1% rent rule, or the 90% rule made famous by DJ Bates of Titanium University. So this is my video today for you on comping real estate and running your math calculations. Please hit that subscription button down below as I'm really trying to grow this channel. And I would really appreciate it because we're going to be bringing good content to you. And I'm trying to get you financially free from the job you want free from, or a better life for you and your family. And I think that's worth your subscription down below. I know I've begged for it in this video. I'm so sorry, but I really think that we have good things coming and I want you to be a part of that. So thank you again. Thank you for being here. Let's keep growing our channels. Let's run it up in 2025. Let's get financially free. Let's be excited. Thank you for being here. I'm out. See you guys in the next one.